Hi, I'm Shauna, and welcome to Every Woman Empowered's Chit Chat. I am the founder of Every Woman Empowered, and today we have with us
Jani Galarno, international artist and resident artist of Every Woman Empowered.
Mila Janil, certified laughter yoga instructor, founder of Let's Laugh Yay, and happiness ambassador for Every Woman Empowered.
And our special guest today is Sandra Sutter, recording artist, Indigenous Liaison, and servant leader. Welcome, Sandra. So Sandra, we're very, very excited that you take some time out today to be with us. And I know we're going to get started right now with some great questions. So we're going to have Jani go first and get right to the questions.
Okay. So Sandra, I understand that you're adopted and that originally your birth certificate said that you were Scottish and German, but that actually wasn't correct. So I'm just wondering what your views are as an adopted woman. Do you feel that if they know the child's heritage, should they be adopted into that family versus maybe another family? What are your thoughts on that?
So, Jani, you sure ask some easy questions.
Right off the bat.
Oh, right. So, yeah, when I was adopted, long time ago, obviously, Native children's identities were hidden, in part to adhere to the government agenda of eliminating the Indian problem. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So my birth mother had her reasons for not disclosing my Indigenous identity, and I suspect that it's because she wanted me to be adopted into a good family, and she knew how much racism existed around her. You know, I'll never have the opportunity to ask her, unfortunately, because she's gone. And I never asked her because I didn't want to hurt her feelings, and I was a little afraid of what the answer might be. So I think it's really important to ask those tough questions like you did, Jani. For her, it was really important that I be raised in a Catholic family, and I don't even know if that's a thing nowadays.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So that was the stipulation that she had put in the adoption papers, and I think I'd like to see us get to a place where cultural identities are respected and children can grow up in their cultural groups. But I was really lucky. I love my adopted family and my extended family, and I can't imagine life without them. So, you know, I'd have liked to have been raised with my culture. I would have liked to have known my birth family growing up. I'd like to have known the language. But I am where I am today, and I have the voice that I have because I was raised in a privileged, non-Indigenous family.
Right.
And that sucks on one hand. But on the other hand, I get to leverage that for the work that I do, and I'm really blessed. I get to be connected to all of my families. I love them. I'm very connected. And I wonder if we can't have it all. I think the real question becomes something different.
Yes.
How is it that we can evolve to support every family that wants to raise a child and feels like they can't for some reason? Money, shame, capacity, wellness. You know, how are those very real factors that impact people's decision about raising children? How are we going to be able to address those and make sure that we give a family and a mom what they need in order to be able to raise their children in a good way? Society needs to support moms being able to be good moms, to be healthy and safe. And I think that's a good question, right?
Yep, absolutely. My husband is adopted also, and he doesn't know anything about his birth parents. And so I always find it so interesting when some search out for it and then others are You know, he says that he was very blessed with the family that he received, and he didn't feel that he needed to push that. But I always think it's kind of sits the back of your head that maybe you want to know a little bit more information. But I respect him for his views, and I respect you for your views too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jenny, you want to go ahead with your next question?
My second question.
Oh
Ooh,
yes,
okay.
let's go back to back. Let's really give it to her.
Okay. So as a fellow creative, I'm a visual artist, and so I'm just kind of wondering, as a musician and all the different wonderful things that you do during this time of COVID, have you found that you have created either more or less?
I find that I'm creating a little bit more and differently. So I'm a very busy person, like we all are. Women who do stuff, we're all busy, right?
Absolutely.
So when I'm putting that creativity into practice in the normal world or the pre-pandemic environment, it's always pretty thematic. I have an agenda and I chase the agenda. So right now I'm doing a little bit of that, but I'm also creating for no reason other than to create what's wanting to be expressed, and it is amazing. What are you finding?
I am the same. I find that right now I'm producing a lot more, and I have so much up here. Sometimes it's a little bit scary, as Shauna will tell you. But yeah, I am producing more, and a lot of it very different, and I'm doing a lot of collaborative work too.
Yes, I'm doing some collaborative stuff too. That's fantastic. So
it's almost like because things have quieted down a little, you know, with COVID, it's kind of quieted the spirit from all the chaos that normally goes on, busy, and you're finding a different part of you that's resonating and calling out, you know. And I just love it when I see, like, especially right now, like I have so many friends that are creatives like yourselves, and it's incredible to watch what's coming out from this right now. And then there's others that are not doing a thing, you know. So yeah, very, very exciting stuff. So now we're going to go over to Miss Neela, and I know, Neela, you have some really interesting questions, and I'm really excited to hear what the answers are going to be from Sandra.
Yeah, Sandra, just with kind of everything going on, these are the questions that came to mind to me, and I thought you're probably one of the best people that I could ask this to. So yeah, the trauma of the white man coming and the resident schools, it's going to be leaving their mark for 7 generations, and we are on maybe 3 since the schools had closed. So what can we do today to move that needle to improve things for 7 generations from today?
You know, I have a friend who went to the last residential school. He's my age. So he said it closed in the 90s. Kind of ridiculous, right? Yeah, 96, I think it was.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't realize that some of them
No.
didn't close till quite recent.
Yeah. So, you know, I think that's a really important question, and we should all be asking ourselves that question. We need to continue the conversation. You know, we need to understand history in order to avoid repeating it, but we can't live there. We have to live in the present, and we have to co-create a path forward towards a future that can be everything beautiful that we can imagine it. It will take all of us to create a world that we can experience wholeness in, and where all my relations can thrive. We need to understand and respect all of nature, and we need to ensure that healthy economies are diverse. So, you know, I know for sure we need to listen. We need to listen to our elders. We need to listen to the youth. We need to educate ourselves. We need to do what we're doing now during this pandemic. We need to slow down and breathe. The old ones talk about the rainbow warriors. So that's all of us, all of the family members. We're red, brown, black, yellow, white, and all of us need to be engaged together to make that world a better place. We need to have these kinds of tough, open, and honest conversations. We need to engage in all levels of society. We need to influence policy and governments. We need to provide education directly, indirectly, organically, through the arts, everywhere. We need to be represented on the boards of directors in every sector of industry and society that exists. I think we need to learn from the land and respect the land, because it teaches us everything we need to know in order to be healthy together. People learn in different ways. So if we ensure that the arts communities are able to survive and express, we're going to be able to pull our focus back and always do the one thing that's more important than everything else, and that is really simply to love. Love, love, love. There is no other way forward.
Right. Well, you kind of touched on this, but can you go even a little deeper and just explain what I can do as a privileged white woman? What can I do? How do I support Indigenous people's rights and culture?
Thank you for asking that very important question. I think keep doing this. That's one thing. You're engaging individuals in a deep conversation. It's painful and it's not easy, but what you can do is you can learn everything you can about Indigenous history. You can share what you know. You can ask questions, visit communities, visit celebrations, join the Friendship Center in your local community and learn what they're up to and participate with them. Talk about your privilege without shame. I think that's
Just
really
got goosebumps.
Yeah.
But use it like I did, use it, and I'm not saying that I have all the answers, but when you use that as a lever to help influence other people, you have a different reach and a different impact than I do, than the other ladies here do, because people will trust you differently than they trust us. They'll hear you differently, and they won't be afraid of you like they're afraid of Indigenous people, whether they recognize it or not. We're afraid of what we don't know. Indigenous people, we're strong, we're resilient, we're beautiful. We've been kicked in the teeth repeatedly, but we're still here. And we're always going to be here. As a white woman in particular, it would be really meaningful to me if you were involved, and you probably already are, in the murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls. And, if you can help people to understand the systemic racism that created that perception, even within ourselves, of our worth as Indigenous women being less than yours, for instance, less than anyone's. Pocahontas and patriarchy. Understand what those P words did to Indigenous women. We don't deserve to be murdered. We don't deserve to go missing. How is it that that's still happening? Why do we continue to suffer the impact of violence against us? Because of those P words. It's difficult because intergenerational trauma is a mouthful, and people are afraid of that too, right? But why do we continue to suffer the effect of violence and the impact of violence against us because of race and gender? It happens to Indigenous people all over the world, not just here in Canada. People look away from it because it's hurtful and ugly. We need to look at it. We can't live there, but we need to look at it and create beauty and support of those moms who want to keep their kids and can't. Intergenerational trauma exists. It's not the only thing that impacts this situation. It's perpetuating a cycle. But how do we create a world where we have equity? Stand with us, walk with us, cry with us. I'm mindful that genderful peoples and men and boys also suffer these impacts. And, we need to be inclusive of them. We need to make sure that the men in our lives that we talk to them about these difficult issues, because if men will hold one another accountable in a way that we can't. And I think that you've already started this, and I'm not the only person who's grateful for this work that you're doing and stepping up. So thank you.
Thank you, Sandra.
Awesome.
You know, Sandra, you've done so much in your short period of time here on Mother Earth, and it's incredible all that you have done. You know, as you were going through your journey, was there something that was an obstacle for you throughout your journey that kind of impacted you? Was it an obstacle that was from within, something that maybe you carried within, or was it an exterior obstacle that was in your path?
An addiction to peanut butter. That was
Well, that's it. Well, that you've done pretty good, girl.
but I'm also
subject.
good one. Good one.
That I was not expecting. My name is Sandra, and I'm addicted to peanut butter. Hi, Sandra.
So, I mean, yeah, other than peanut butter and that's sexism and racism, I would say, impacted my trajectory. But I wouldn't say that's a bad thing. So, you know, when you're experiencing it, it's a bad thing. And I grew up in a non-Indigenous family, as you know, so I didn't experience a lot of that overt racism because I can pass, except for in the summer. But I had to fight to be seen as an equal to men, and I challenged stereotypes about men and women and Indigenous peoples. I had to learn how to do that respectfully, because when I was a young woman, that wasn't always my way of communicating, and it doesn't do any good talking about something when you're angry, because all you do is allow people to erect walls against you. They can't hear you. You have absolutely no audience when you're angry. People are afraid, and even if they're not, they still are. You know, those walls go up and you're no longer communicating, you're just venting. So I was my own obstacle, and I'm stubborn. So that worked for and against me.
Yes.
Yeah. One of my musician friends refers to me as tenacious, and I would say that's one of the things that works for me, but it's also that stubborn piece. And another friend, she refers to me as naive, and she worries about my naivety. But I think it's a strength, and I think that every obstacle can be turned around and become an asset. I think that every asset can also become an obstacle. So,
Yeah.
You know, I as you say, you know, I used to hear a lot too from people that I was too spread out, too busy, involved in too many things. And surely I was avoiding dealing with something, because nobody lives like this. Nobody gets involved in this many things and blah, blah, blah. So I wrestled with that. I phoned my mom, who raised me up, and I said, Mom, people are telling me this. What happened? What do you think? What's my trauma? And she said, oh, Sandra, you've always been like this ever since you were a little girl. So, you know, I always honored that feel and that pull and that push of spirit. I always followed it, and it didn't always make sense. My career paths all over the place. But today, here I am. All those things that other people looked at and said, you're not normal, you're too spread out, you need to focus. Yeah, but I was focused in the moment. And now I can bring it all together, and it's an amazing life, you know, followed my heart. So really, I was my obstacle.
Right. And through all that, you collected, and at the end of this journey where we are today is the collective of everything, the good, the bad, and I'm like you. I truly believe that through any hardship or obstacles that come across your way, those are opportunities to learn. Those are opportunities to grow. Those are opportunities to change and move forward and better yourself. And it's through those that you gather that strength and become this resilient woman, right? So yes, we tend to be sometimes our own worst enemies to ourselves, you know, but through that we learn. And you know, look at where you are today, you know. So I'm glad that you took that time to overcome and achieve and grace us with your voice and all that you do and work for. So thank you very much. Speaking of working for, I know right now with COVID, things have, you know, kind of slowed down, but I know you have some exciting things coming up for yourself as well. Where, I gotta ask, where are you seeing yourself 5 to 10 years from now as we go forward?
I think I'll be doing what I'm doing now. I love my work. I love all of the organizations that I volunteer with or serve. You know, that servant leader thing. It's, I'm sure with all of you, it's the same thing. You hopefully get a little bit smarter. Hopefully you increase your reach. You know, you can drag willing co-conspirators with you, but hopefully I'll hear more from the elders about the things that are important to them so that I can carry those messages in my work. And the usual, spend more time with loved ones. I hope to have a dog at some point. But somebody, you know, I need somebody to take care of that little pooch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you have some stuff that's kind of exciting that's coming up in Winnipeg right now that you want to kind of share with us, because I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, the E.W.E.s festival is gone online. So yesterday we did our first songwriter circle. So, yep, 2 other songwriters and myself, and we did a similar kind of setup to this. We each took turns singing a song, just going around and around virtually, and it was fantastic. It was like being at your own little concert, you know, listening to other people. It was great. So I'll be doing another one of those on July 22nd at 2 o'clock Central, 1 o'clock Mountain, with another 2 Indigenous artists. So they're doing this every Wednesday, and also on Wednesday morning they have this Wednesday they had fitness powwow. So like that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So they're doing stuff every Wednesday for this festival, and then they're having I don't know if it's like everybody's gonna do this big concert in August, but I'm going to be participating in this big concert on August with my musician friends, and so that's the Winnipeg based festival.
Wow.
And this Monday, like you guys, it's Indigenous Peoples Awareness Week next week, right?
That's right. So Sandra, how can people find out this information? Is it on your website? Is it on your social media? And how do they find you?
Yeah, so sandrasutter.com, that's S-U-T-T-E-R, just like Nelia's backdrop.
Neela, yes.
Yes, we have the links up there. The Songwriter Circle from yesterday is on Facebook and YouTube as well. And E.W.E.s is spelled S-A-K-I-H-I-W-E. So that festival, you could Google that too, and you'll come up with all of the links. So that's how you find us.
Well, Sandra, you know, I can't believe it. We're already out of time. It just went by just too quick. Thank you so much for being a part of our show. And I look forward to seeing you, what's going to be coming up next for you. I'm looking forward to hearing your music. And just thank you for being a part of Every Woman Empowered's Chit Chat. Thank you, and have yourself a beautiful summer. Take care.
Thank you, Sandra.
Lovely
Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.